The following is a production of Stevenson Media. Want to tip the host? Just scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Get a free Houston Sports State of the Union podcast t-shirt with a donation of $50 or more.
This is the Houston Sports State of the Union podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, the president of Houston Sports Nation, Nick Stevenson.
My goodness, thank you so much. Please be seated. My fellow Houstonians, welcome to the Houston Sports State of the Union podcast. I am the self-appointed president of Houston Sports Nation, Nick Stevenson. As always, there's a million different things you could be doing this evening or today, whatever time you're listening. Whatever time it is, if you're joining me, I do appreciate it. On today's show, I am joined by Rob Fontenot of the Houston Astros Podcast. Podcast Astros is the @ for X. Podcast, the Houston Astros Podcast. If you search it, you can find it anywhere you listen to podcasts. He's on X, he's on Facebook, he's on TikTok. You can find him on Spotify, Apple, Amazon. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, you will find him there. He will join me today. Obviously, we're going to be talking about opening day. I've been neglecting the Astros all spring training. Why? I'll tell you why. Because I hate spring training. I'm going to be honest with you. I did not watch a single pitch live. I watched several highlights. I'm ready for the real show. And the real show begins tomorrow, so I'm super excited about that. So I'm glad I'm going to have Rob here. Before I introduce him, I want to remind you of the ways you can support the show. Number one, you're doing right now. You watch, you listen, please share with your friends, your family. Remind them to like, follow, subscribe wherever they get their podcasts fix. Also, if you'd like to leave me a tip, if you're able to scan the QR code at the bottom corner here, do that. I will leave a link to the tip jar in the description of this video once the live is over. If you guys want to leave me a little something, I appreciate that. Everything you leave me goes directly back into bringing you guys the show and more content. If you leave me a donation of $50 or more, I will send you a Houston Sports State of the Union podcast t-shirt, hat, hoodie, whatever type of swag you want. And I do appreciate that. I will also put affiliate links for Houston Sports fan gear and all of the equipment I use to bring you guys this fine show. If you purchase anything from that Amazon link, I'll get a little bit of change from that, and I do appreciate it. But those are the main ways you can support. If you're interested in sponsorship, you guys can email me at hsstateoftheunionpod@gmail.com. But the main way I appreciate you guys' support is doing what you're doing right now. You watch, you listen, and I'm so excited for you guys to join me for this Houston Astros State of the Union address. Okay, I am now joined by the man, Rob Fontenot. I'm saying your name correct, please.
No, you're not.
I'm not. Okay.
It's Rob Fontenot. It's
Fontenot. Is it French?
It's a Cajun name.
It's Cajun. Okay.
When I went to New Orleans, I stayed at the Hotel Fontenot. That's how Cajun it is.
I like it. Look, we spoke for a good 10 minutes before, and I forgot to make sure I wasn't butchering your name, but I appreciate it. Listen, I tell people all the time, I'm not the type of president who does not admit when he's wrong. So I appreciate you joining me, man. Look, you reached out to me through TikTok. So I really appreciate it because as I said in the intro, people might try to take my Astros card. I haven't watched an entire spring training game from beginning to end in probably 4 years. I can't stand spring training baseball. And the thing about spring training baseball is we found out a couple of days ago who's going to be on the roster, and it's all the people that we probably expected. Did you see any surprises on the roster when it was released?
Well, when it came out, we talked about it on our show about some people that were on the bubble, if you want to talk about that, since it's March Madness, right?
Right, of course.
And I gave Cam Smith a 65% chance of making the roster. And I thought that was kind of high because the dude only played like 32 games of minor league baseball, but he did play in college. It's not like he came out of high school and did that. But I mean, it's crazy and it's amazing that he made it. So he played his way on the team, but I was still surprised. I thought they might leave him down in the minors to season him up a little bit.
Yeah, that's been the Astros MO for the longest time. And they've been accused of manipulating people's time of service in the past as well. So I'll go with Cam Smith. I thought he should be on the squad. So in that regard, I wasn't surprised, but I can understand how some people may have, like you said, thought maybe they'd keep him down at least a little bit longer. To me, it was bigger news who didn't make the squad, and it's once again because of injuries. No Lance McCullers Jr. Forrest Whitley, is his time as an Astro done? What do you think?
No, he's gonna be. There's two pitchers that are hurt. I want to say it's
Whitley and
Whitley and the guy that starts with the O. I think
it's Okert. They're both
there.
Stephen Okert. Yes, but Whitley's always hurt, and
He is always hurt.
That is my issue. I mean, obviously, at one time he was one of the Astros' highest prospects, and his upside is what has kept him in the minors as long as they have. But once again, I almost fell for it. This was another spring training. Hey, this is the year Forrest Whitley's going to be in the bullpen, and maybe he still will be. But another injury for me, once that happened, it was just kind of a situation where I felt like it was Groundhog Day all over again with Forrest Whitley, man. We've been waiting for this guy to come up and make an impact on the big club for a really long time. I mean, he's closer to 30 than he is to 20 at this point. So, other than that, though, I don't think there was a whole lot of surprises. So, other than obviously, Rob, you do an Astros podcast. I want to let my audience know that basically Rob does a show after each series. So after each series, you can search Astros Podcast or the Astros Baseball or Houston Astros Baseball Podcast. And he's basically what you're going to do, I'm assuming, is you're going to break down the series and what we saw. So let's start. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, we talk about the series game by game. So if you're out of town and you don't catch any of the games, you haven't seen any highlights, I'm going to let you know everything that happened game by game. We hand out some hardware, players of the game and stuff like that. So it's a good time.
Awesome. Rob, I gotta give you some props for this. I think I read on your Twitter, your voice, you have a broadcaster's voice, man. So I know you've been podcasting since 2018, but have you ever called play-by-play?
I've never done play-by-play, but I do a public address for the high school.
Okay. You sound like that. You sound like a public address announcer.
I didn't sound
Golden
like
Pipes, man.
2018, I guarantee you.
Oh, so it took some practice?
It just comes with it.
I hear you.
I had someone on a long time ago, and when they would talk, they would pause. And when I just did it right there saying, and when you first start, you're like,
right.
And you just got to learn to be quiet. So
I'm still guilty of that.
You learn how to talk like this. So I guess
for sure.
I don't know. That's what everybody says. They're like, even when you're just talking normal, you sound like an announcer.
Yeah. I think you have a great voice, man. If you haven't done play-by-play, maybe you should consider doing so.
I don't know how to get into it, but I'll do it. I'll try it.
Well, I mean, so which high school did you say you do a public address for?
Well, I actually live in San Antonio.
Okay.
So I do it for SAISD, which is San Antonio Independent School District, and then Harlandale Independent.
Oh, okay. So you do for multiple teams then, multiple schools.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, like I said, as soon as I heard you on the mic, man, I was like, this guy's a professional, man. But no, I do want to talk about, not just the series coming up, but the Houston Astros obviously have had some franchise changing moves over the last couple of seasons. And we're going to go into opening day tomorrow with no Kyle Tucker, no Alex Bregman, obviously some of the other, heartbeat franchise cornerstones that have been here over the last few years. They're all gone. The George Springers, the Carlos Correas and whatnot. So this feels like a new era of Astros baseball. What is your optimism level? I want to talk about what you think the keys to a successful season are going to be. But first of all, what would a successful season look like to you?
Well, I would say winning the division and maybe ALCS. If they go to the ALCS and don't get to the World Series with this new team that they have.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, like Cam Smith works out, this is going to be different because when they first started putting the team together, you're like, we don't have any outfielders. Like we're going to have 7, 8, 9 is going to be a spot where it's 3 automatic outs. But there's a possibility that it won't be like that. So I would say that would be a good season, winning the division, because I don't think anybody expects us to do that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if they win the division and go to the ALCS, they're just continuing to do what they've been doing, and there's no change at all. And I think every Astros fan would probably take that. I've had this discussion with a lot of Astros fans. Like, is it possible that the Astros could take a step back? And the thing about when you're the Houston Astros, taking a step back looks a whole lot different than most other organizations. When you're constantly going to the ALCS 7 years in a row, when you've made it to the World Series 4 times in 7 years, it just looks different.
Yeah.
A step back could mean just like we talked about, just being a good team that wins their division, maybe loses in the first round of the playoffs. That's still, I guarantee you, there's at least 25 other cities who would love that for their baseball team to do that may not get that opportunity. So for me, I don't think they're going to be a bad baseball team. I just think it's going to look different, in my opinion. You talked about Cam Smith as being a question mark, obviously. I think there's quite a few question marks. I think the consensus, we all know, I would probably say 1 through 5 of the lineup, assuming health, we know is going to be productive. You'll have Jose Altuve, Isaac Paredes, Yordan Alvarez, Christian Walker, Yainer Diaz. I think that's a solid first 5. After that is where the question marks remain. And last season, I think what killed this Astros team was that bottom third of the lineup not being as productive as it needed to be. And what was interesting about that, and I'll let you talk about this, the bottom half of the lineup, when the Astros won, they didn't even have to be good. They just had to not be horrible.
Yeah.
Whenever they were not horrible, and I mean, hitting sub 100, it was enough because of the top of the lineup was so good. It was enough for them to win baseball games. Right now, I have Cam Smith, Mauricio Dubon, and some combination of Jake Myers, Chas McCormick being that bottom third of the lineup. Do you have any expectation that this season that bottom third will be more productive than it was before? Or what do you think is going to be the key to getting this offense going and having a successful season?
Well, a couple of seasons ago, Chas McCormick was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And last year he was not that good. But Espada thinks that he's going to be good. I mean, of course he's not going to say, yeah, Chas is probably going to be horrible again. But if
Right.
Chas can get back, because Chas can do it, he's done it before. If he can do it, that changes the whole lineup.
Of course.
If Cam Smith works out, then you're looking at maybe, because you left out Jeremy Pena too. He had one of the best springs on the Astros. So I mean, you're looking at, you could be 7 or 8 deep if these two guys work out.
For sure.
I mean, we're not as good as we used to be, where we could have a catcher hitting 200 or 178. We're not that
Right.
good. We can't have a black hole.
Right.
We have to have everybody participating. But what do you think about this? I think with Christian Walker and Isaac Paredes, we're better than we were with Alex Bregman and John Singleton.
Oh yeah, on the corners, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that at all. Mostly because, I mean, a step back for Alex Bregman defensively. I know he won a Gold Glove, but I'll just put it to you this way, and I've always thought this about Alex Bregman. I think he's a really good to average regular season player, and then in the post, he just turns it up to a whole nother level. And so, if you think about what are your most memorable Alex Bregman defensive plays? Most of them are in the postseason. I mean, it's such a long regular season. I just feel like he was always good to average, maybe slightly above average. It was the postseason is what got him the money that he's making in Boston now. And so, yeah, I think on a day-to-day basis, for sure, with Isaac Paredes and Christian Walker. Now, once again, that's assuming Christian Walker's health. Yeah, they're going to be much better defensively. I think that's the idea about taking Altuve off of second base and inserting Mauricio Dubon there. I think they're hoping to be stronger defensively up the middle. We'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. It's just going to be, I think, potentially, anything you get is going to be an upgrade over John Singleton offensively. But I think potentially Christian Walker may have more of an impact offensively this season than Alex Bregman has had in recent seasons. If he can stay healthy, if the power is there. I'm really not worried about the first five. I did leave out Jeremy Pena because I still think he's a little bit of a question mark as well. If he returns to form, this team can get dangerous, especially if Cam Smith has a Jeremy Pena-esque type rookie season where he just doesn't know any better and he's just out there playing. Then this team could get really dangerous for sure. But I think that's going to be one of the keys. I wrote down some keys to a successful season. And you tell me how you feel about these. Number one thing I put was health of the starting rotation. Because injuries to the pitching rotation has plagued the Astros for several years now. Talk about the starting rotation and how you feel about the five guys we have. We got Framber, Hunter Brown, Ronel Blanco, Spencer Arrighetti, and Hayden Wesneski. That doesn't feel like the type of rotation Astros fans have had in the past, when you're starting Verlander and Greinke or, Cole. It doesn't quite feel like that, but I think this starting rotation has a chance to be pretty good. What do you think?
Okay. Hunter Brown is a stud. Framber Valdez is an ace.
Mm-hmm.
Ronel Blanco was a shock last year. This was a player up and down between Sugarland and Houston. Oh, we need a pitcher. Come back. Okay, we're done with you. But last year, I know the Astros started so slow last year.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for him, I don't think we'd even sniff the playoffs. Because he was the only one there that wasn't hurt. He was the only one winning.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at Spencer Arrighetti. He started out bad, and they left him to the Wolves in the first game he pitched.
Yeah.
They just kept scoring and scoring and scoring, and they left him in. But I believe after his first 6 starts, his ERA in those last 16 games was around 3 or under 3.
Yeah, and he was striking people out like crazy.
So if him and Hunter Brown can start out good, Ronel Blanco can do what he did last year, and Framber, I don't have any doubts about him. That's 4 really solid starters.
For sure.
And I don't know about Wesneski. He's got something to prove, but he's the 5th starter. Not everybody has great 5th starter. But what about Lance McCullers when he comes back? Someone was saying that maybe he should go to the pen. Maybe he'll stay healthier if he doesn't have to throw 7 innings or 6 innings or 100 pitches at a time.
Yeah, you can count me among the people. Yeah, you can count me among the people who think he should come out of the bullpen. I think his days of a starter are over. And I think he could be really good in relief. Yeah. We all remember what he did in the 2017 ALCS against the Yankees, where they could not hit his breaking ball. And whenever his breaking ball is on, that's the problem with him. When it's on, it's unhittable. When it's off, it's very hittable.
Yeah.
It's like, it's feast or famine with him. But I think anything you get out of him, anything you get out of, I blank on names all the time. Luis, no, if
I blank too.
The other Tommy John. We got multiple Tommy Johns.
Luis Garcia.
Luis Garcia, yeah.
Luis Garcia, I think he had bad news, but I'll tell you this. I am a headline reader.
Okay.
I'm like, hey, I heard Luis Garcia was going to have Tommy John. And it's like, that's not what it says. I know, I just read the headline.
Right. Yeah, I hear you.
I take my lunch break and I'm just flipping through. Oh, man, Luis Garcia. Jeez.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm just saying anything they get from the likes of McCullers or anyone else who may return from, I feel like that's going to be icing on the cake.
Yeah, McCullers could come and be the 7th inning guy, and he could end up being an all-star.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think that's one of the other keys. I talked about young pitchers stepping up, but also some of our hurt guys, coming back and being able to maintain health and be contributors to the team. And that would be huge. I know he's supposed to start pitching in AAA pretty soon, according to an article I read just a couple of days ago. I know things change often, but the last I read, he's going to be, I think, pitching in Sugarland. The rotation, the first, provided Ronel Blanco and Spencer Arrighetti obviously weren't just playing out of their minds, if they continue to go on the path that they've been on, their starting rotation, I think, is solid. The question, once again, just like with the offense, I think is going to be that back half. I mean, you got Abreu, you got Hader. Who's going to get them the ball?
Yeah.
That's the big question. Talk about surprises on the on the roster. I will say Rafael Montero seems to have multiple. He's got, I don't know which of his 9 lives he's on right now, but the fact that he's even playing baseball right now was pretty surprising to me. But I felt like he pitched his way onto the team, though. It wasn't a fluke. It wasn't lack of options. So I think the Astros have similar question marks on the back end of their lineup and the back end of that bullpen. How are you feeling about the bullpen and the rest of the pitching staff?
Well, the bullpen, you have Hader and Abreu. And last year, Taylor Scott. Who's this dude? Like, where did he come from? And he was really good.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was in, the most stressful situations. He might have been in, not super important periods, but he did good. Brian King was good. And you talk about Montero, he was so good they extended him for 3 years, and then he did horrible.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there wasn't a team that wanted him, because he could have went anywhere he wanted to when they released him, but he stuck with the team. He said he stuck with them because they stuck with him.
Yeah.
And the Astros also, they have to pay him $11 million, whether he's on the team or not. So I think the $11 million, the injuries, because there's 2 guys that'll be in the bullpen that aren't on the 40, that aren't on the opening day roster. So he could be gone in a week. You never know. But I think that 11 mil had a lot to do with it. The 11 million and the injuries. But when I first started thinking about the season, I was thinking the huge question marks are the outfield and the bullpen. And then, like, a huge question now is, can Jose Altuve actually play left field? He looks good sometimes, then he looks lost. And I don't pay attention to a lot of these, like, metrics. I had no idea he was like the second worst defensive second baseman. I had no idea.
Yeah, he struggled out there for a while. I don't think he struggled anywhere near what we saw the problems he had in left field, though.
Yeah. You remember when he had the yips and he couldn't even throw it to first?
Yes, I do remember that.
Golly, that was crazy.
But I mean, he's never had trouble tracking fly balls at second base for the most part. But that I'm not gonna lie to you, that part worries me. I understand not wanting to put Yordan Alvarez in left field, and I think honestly, Altuve playing left field at Daikin, okay, what's he gonna do when you're playing in other parks that have bigger outfields that don't have that wall protecting you? That's when it's possibly going to be a problem, and it kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth, man. I don't know how you feel, but to me, Jose Altuve is the greatest Astro of all time, and to me, it's not even close.
I think so too.
Okay,
he offered himself. I'll go to left field, sign Alex Bregman. I'll go to left field
for sure.
And I don't know if you've seen this, but I saw someone posted it or some kind of metric that left field only touches the ball an average of 2.5 times a game. But second baseman probably touches it way more. So I think
that's a good place to hide a defensive liability, right?
Yeah. And Dupont is way better at second base than
of course.
And people will get mad on TikTok if you say that, but like, I'm not saying he's a better player. He's not even in his league. He can't even carry his jock strap, but he's a better second baseman at this point in time.
Better option for sure. And listen, I agree with you. Left field is definitely the place to hide a defensive liability. We saw Manny Ramirez play there for years. So it's just, it is rare that it gets hit over there, but when you're facing, a lot of right-handed batters, they're going to hit some balls that way. And we'll see what happens, man. That I'm glad you brought that up, because it's difficult for me to talk about, because I think Altuve is the best Houston Astro of all time. And I feel kind of bad because he looked bad out there. And I feel like it was a little bit, I don't know. I can't say he was embarrassed. I mean, he's a prideful person. it just felt like we were kind of doing our best player wrong. But that's the option we have. That's the option we have.
I understand how you feel.
Yeah.
Because this is Jose Altuve. I mean, if you ask 1,000 Astro fans, who's the Astros dude?
Yeah.
Who is he? And everybody's going to, it's Altuve.
For sure.
It's Altuve. 100%. Almost everybody's going to say that. And to see him out there, and if he does bad, he's going to get a lot of slander online. Like, look at Altuve. That's why a lot of other teams or the team's fans, they're overlooking us. They're like, look at this. They're struggling so bad that they're putting their best player in left field. Like, what are they doing? That's totally ridiculous.
Yeah.
But look, dude, you're a fan. These guys are baseball coaches, managers. They've played before. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, for sure.
So I trust them. Whenever they do anything, I'll trust them.
Yeah, I think the Astros as an organization have earned that, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, especially from us.
Yeah, for sure. I think we've had a lot of questions over the years, and it's all worked out. I remember there were some people who didn't like that we traded for Justin Verlander because he was too old and cost too much money. And how'd that work out for us? So, no, I understand. It's tough to see, man, because it's like watching your hero out there tripping over himself. It's like it's like watching Muhammad Ali get punched in the face, man. But I think like you said, the baseball guys know what they're going to do. Here's what I do know about Jose Altuve. He's going to give it his all. He's not going to slack it. He's going to do his best to be as good out there as he can be. I don't know how often. This is the problem that they have. You got two guys who are great hitters that you don't really want playing defense anywhere. They don't want Alvarez out there for injury purposes. Yeah. And so you can't have two DHs, unfortunately. So they're going to have to figure it out. And Altuve's got 3 more years on his deal now.
I think so.
After this season. So we'll see how it goes, man. But
usually on a team, they'll put the old guy at DH, but I don't know how many years Jordan has, but it's got to be at least 3 or so.
Yeah, I think Jordan, they're really worried about injury with him. Yeah, out there, obviously, and
he's a decent left fielder.
He's got a cannon of his arm. First of all, he's got a cannon of an arm. It's just can he track the ball? Like I said, out in Daikin Park, you're not worried about him out there. Maybe some of the other parks, but that is going to be very interesting. The good news is you got center field. You got 2 really good defenders there. Yeah. How do you feel about Cam Smith playing the outfield? Because from what I've read, I'm not going to pretend like I've watched his entire career from high school to now. But from what I've read, he hasn't played outfield very much. And the minor leagues or even in high school. So what are you expecting from him out there?
What is that game? It's not the Futures game. It's that new one that they came up with last year. And he was in that, and he was playing right field.
I'm not sure.
See, last year they came up with this new thing, and I can't remember the name of it. And I was so excited about it, and then you couldn't even watch it. It was so weird. Like, why are you promoting this so much, and we can't even watch it? But I can't think of what it's called, but he played right field in that, and then he played right field the rest of spring training. Mm-hmm. So to me, that's why I gave him that 65% chance of making the roster, because if they weren't planning on him being on the roster, why put him in the outfield? I think they were trying to find a spot for him.
Yeah, for sure.
And the outfield is the weakest point. So
yeah, for sure. He's got some big shoes to fill in right field.
I don't watch spring training, so I don't know how good he is. I'm going to find out.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm looking forward to it for sure. I was watching some of his highlights. That's what the video said, highlights. And it looked like he was just making some pretty standard catches out there. So at least he can do that. That's good. Yeah. Put the ball away, get some put out assists. I love that. I don't know about you. As I get older, baseball is probably my favorite sport. I know they're doing a lot of things to baseball to try to speed up the game, to make it more appealing to the younger audience, but I consider myself a little bit of a purist. something about opening day, man. It's just, you can smell it in the air when you wake up. It feels like baseball. It smells like baseball. And if you get a chance to ever go to the park on opening day, the experience is second to none, man. I mean, I talk about that all the time. My first baseball game was a kid. It was at the Astrodome, aging myself now. Went to the Astrodome. I'd never seen a building that big in my life. Never walked into a building that big in my life. We had the greenest grass because it was fake. So
Yeah.
I just remember being in awe. And I love baseball. And baseball, I've seen some predictions. Some people think that the WNBA will be more popular than baseball in the next 25 years. As a baseball purist yourself, you told me you've been watching the Astros religiously since the mid to late 90s. Where do you feel like the state of the game is right now? Not every city has a Houston Astros fan base because we've been very lucky. It is a very, I guess, localized market. But just how do you feel about the state of the game right now, and what would you like to see improve, if anything?
I mean, I would ask you the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is the Dodgers going out and buying every player in the league? Is that ruining things? Because there's teams that can't do it.
Yeah.
But they're never going to have a salary cap. I don't know why.
Yeah,
it would make it more fair.
For sure.
But the good thing about having someone that spends money is that you can root for the other guys.
Yeah.
You can root for the underdogs. But I'll tell you this, because you spoke about fan bases, right?
Mm-hmm.
I really can't watch anybody else play. I've been out of town to Boston, and I watched the Red Sox play Toronto. By the 7th inning, I'm like, all right, I've seen the stadium. I'm ready to go.
Right.
I could care less who wins.
Of
I went
course.
to Yankee Stadium, watched them play the Mets. I could care less who win.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care. I can only watch the Astros.
Yeah.
But I can watch any NFL game. I don't know what the difference is. I don't care who's playing. I'll watch football. I'll watch college football, and I'll watch football.
Yeah.
But I love baseball. But I think you have to have a favorite team.
Yeah, for sure. That's how I feel the exact same way.
You don't have a favorite team.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. And for me, I liked the old version of baseball when there was no pitch clock, when a game could go 7 hours. It's funny. Baseball is probably my least favorite regular season. It is absolutely my favorite postseason. But I'm like you, I can turn on a random NBA game and at least, pay attention until the fourth quarter and then really be locked in. It might be background noise until the fourth quarter, but I can lock in and, have an interest in who's going to win. Same with football. I don't know if it's because, the thing about baseball, there's kind of that game within the game. So you're not just rooting for your team, but you're rooting for that pitcher versus that batter. Yeah. And, sometimes the intensity of that matchup can be really, really, that's why the postseason is so amazing. Yeah. But in the regular season, like you said, if it's a pitcher that you don't really care about, it's a hitter that you don't really care about, two teams you don't really care about, that nervous pit you get in your stomach, when, Jose Altuve is going up against, whatever starting pitcher for the Yankees, you don't get that because you don't care. And I think it is a very unique thing to baseball. I don't know. It's the reason I love it, and it's also probably the reason a lot of people don't love it. And to me, I wish that Rob Manfred would care more about the people who care about the game than trying to get people who don't care about the game to care about the game.
Yeah,
because
you're trying to make it better for people that don't watch it.
Right.
And you're making it worse for the people that do watch it.
Yeah. I don't think it's a coincidence that people are blowing their arms up ever since the pitch clock was instituted. I don't like the rule that base running isn't, there's no mystery. There's no excitement to base running anymore because the guy can only throw over twice and then that's it. So and base running was one of, my favorite, especially in the postseason, especially if you could win some free tacos. Come on. So yeah, it's definitely changing, but I still love it. And I love opening day and I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
I love it.
I love it, man.
You know the difference in baseball and the other sports? I was just thinking about this while you were talking, and I haven't even had this thought before.
What's up?
But let's say, like, I was a huge Larry Bird fan when I was a kid, so I loved watching the Celtics, right?
Yeah,
So I'm gonna go watch the Celtics play the Spurs because I want to see Larry Bird.
right.
And Larry Bird, I get to watch him. He's gonna shoot the ball 10 times in the quarter. He's gonna make some passes, get some rebounds.
Yeah.
But if you have a star in baseball,
Mm,
you get to see him bat like maybe once every hour,
right.
and he may not even touch the ball. But
Mm,
basketball, you want to go see LeBron James?
yeah.
He's gonna touch the ball a
It's a good
bunch.
point. It's a very good
Football,
point.
you like Tom Brady? He's gonna be back there throwing passes. The running back, he's gonna get the ball. But baseball, you don't get. And they also said there's an issue with the baseball. They don't promote their stars. It's
I
like
agree
they're
with
like
that too.
the least popular sports stars, except everybody knows Otani.
Yeah, that's the only one they market.
Yeah.
I've I can't think of a baseball commercial right now that didn't have Otani in it.
Yeah. That's all they promote.
That's all they promote. And I mean, I get it. He's a cash cow, especially overseas, in Japan. I mean, and I get it, but there's other really good players. I mean, even how long was Mike Trout probably the greatest baseball player in the game? And you never saw him. You didn't. And it's a shame because you never got to see him in the playoffs either because the Angels stink. And so, yeah, I agree with that too. Marketing has not been their strong suit. They market the teams, and it's always Yankees, Dodgers, Red Sox. That's
Someone
it.
could ask you, who's the best baseball player? Oh, it's Mike Trout. Who's that?
Right. Who?
Who's the best football player?
Yeah.
And they're going to know who you're talking about.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I really enjoyed this conversation. Rob, and now that I know you're Fontenot, I'm going to make sure I let everybody know where fun to know. I like that.
Fun to know.
I like that. Good stuff. Well, I can let my audience know that once again, they can find you wherever they listen to podcasts. It's the Astros Baseball Podcast. If you type in Astros Baseball, you should be able to find it. His logo looks like Star Wars. So that's how you know you found the right one. And Rob does a show once again. There it is right there on screen. That's beautiful.
It's a coaster.
I want to ask you a Star Wars question really quick. What's the best Star Wars movie?
4.
Absolutely. Okay.
New Hope. Let me ask you this.
Actually, you know what?
Do you like the 1 through 3 or 7, 8, 9?
Man, this could be a long conversation.
Great. The newer ones are really good.
Yeah. So
the Jar Jar Binks ones are unwatchable.
The prequels are unwatchable now. I remember when they came out, though, I was heavily invested. Like I cried. I cried during episode 3. My favorite
watching them at the movies, but they don't have that rewatchability.
No, they do not.
Yeah.
My favorite Star Wars movie is actually The Empire Strikes Back. I think that's the best one.
Yeah. It is good.
Let me tell you about the last trilogy. I thought it started off with a bang. I thought that The Force Awakens was a really, really good movie. Yes, was it a little bit of fan service? Absolutely. But we deserved it after the prequels. So, yeah, there was a lot of fan service in there, a lot of Easter eggs and giving the fans what they want. But I thought that J.J. Abrams got things started on a good path. I do not know why they allowed Rian Johnson to direct The Last Jedi. I felt like a trilogy should have the same director all the way through because I feel like Rian Johnson ruined everything about what J.J. Abrams did in The Force Awakens. And I thought The Last Jedi was terrible. And then J.J. Abrams did the best he could to try to save it with the last movie, The Rise of Skywalker. But why did you kill Snoke 20 minutes into the second movie with no explanation of who he is, why he's there, how did he become the leader of the new... You just got rid of him for no reason. And now you had no choice but to bring back the Emperor, the problem with the new Star Wars material is it completely voids the original trilogy. And it makes me so angry. Like you're doing everything you can to render that original trilogy insignificant. And it's probably by I've heard that George Lucas is regretting the fact that he sold Star Wars to Disney. And I understand it. To be honest with you, the last good Star Wars thing I felt like I watched, I actually thought that what was the movie Rogue One? I thought Rogue One was excellent.
Everybody thinks Rogue One is really good.
I loved Rogue One. After that, nothing was good. The Mandalorian, nope.
The Mandalorian was good.
Couldn't do it, man.
Do Boba Fett though.
Yeah, Boba Fett, didn't watch it.
I couldn't get through it.
I couldn't get through it either. Kenobi, I was really excited about that. Made me mad. They did everything they could once again to render the original trilogy insignificant. So, man, we could do a whole another podcast on that, dude. But thank you so much, Rob, for joining me. I've actually not done my show on a consistent basis over the last couple of weeks because of some other things going on. So it's just good to get back on the microphone, talk some Houston Astros, man. I do a weekly Houston Sports State of the Union. I'm a writer for the Dream Shake, so I cover the Rockets for them. And I do a ESPN podcast about the Texans. It's called the Twin Toros. So Houston sports, man, I was born and raised here. I love it. I love talking Houston sports. I mean, there's certainly worse things you could do. You get enough politics and people arguing and going back and forth all over the internet, man. So it's good to just sit down and have a good old baseball conversation. So I hope we get an opportunity to do it again. Maybe I could come on your show. You can show me how it's done.
Yeah, right.
But I really appreciate you. So let's really quick. What is your prediction for tomorrow's game?
Well, we got Framber. They talked about who their starting pitcher is. I don't really know a lot of players from the other teams, but
yeah, they are starting.
The Astros are going to let Juan Soto beat them.
They're starting Holmes.
Yeah, see, I don't know who that is. That's what I told you. I only pay attention to the Astros.
Clay Holmes. He used to be he was a Yankee. The Yankees and the Mets keep tossing players back and forth.
Valdez-esque, so
no, absolutely not.
I think we're going to win.
Yeah, for sure. Valdez. I hope we get a win on opening day. Here's the thing about, and this is another. We were talking about baseball. We're talking about baseball. Another reason it's probably not so popular is in baseball, you can go on a 10-game losing streak and it's not that big of a deal. Like the regular season is so long. It's really tough. And then it just ramps up when you get to that postseason.
It's meaningful.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the one thing the NFL, I keep saying this, they got to stop adding games because they're going to put themselves in that same issue, that same problem. Yeah. Because what makes the NFL great is that every regular season game is a playoff game, essentially. So, yeah. But, we still love the Astros. We still love baseball. We're going to watch. I got the DVR set. I watched the YouTube highlights. I love going to the park and eating $12 hot dogs and $20 beers. But, it is what it is, man. But I want to thank you for joining me on this show. I want to thank everybody who watched, who listened for joining us. Once again, Rob Fontenot, the Astros Baseball Podcast. Follow him on X, follow him on Facebook, follow him on TikTok. Once I put up this audio, I will have all of his links in the description, and I will see all of you guys next Friday. In the meantime, I want you to do what I always tell you to do, and that's stay 10 toes down for the H. We love you, and good night.
This has been the Houston Sports State of the Union podcast, hosted by Nick Stevenson. Tune in next week for more news and analysis of your favorite Houston teams. Please follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, the app formerly known as Twitter, if that's even really still a thing. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content.